Okay.
Okay, I'm going to call the Board of Finance regular meeting of Wednesday, August 26th to order at 7:36. I will start with introductions around of those attending. Myself, Karen McWhirter, Chair.
Nairi Peck, Fiscal Officer.
Paul Zolper, First Selectman.
Andy Sherman, Board of Finance.
Suzanne Lovig, Board of Finance.
Steve Tranguch, Board of Finance.
Mike Cunningham, Board of Finance.
Stan Love, Board of Finance.
Thank you. Open it up to public comment. Hearing none, we will move on to First Selectman comments.
Okay, so about 9 points tonight. The first thing is our contract negotiations. We've reached a tentative agreement with the supervisors union yesterday. During negotiations, with the discussion with them, the lead custodian job description was reviewed, and it was recommended that revisions be made to better reflect the position's duties and responsibilities. And we're planning to revise that description for review at the next selectmen's meeting. Negotiations with the Administrative Assistants Union and Public Works Union remain ongoing. The auditors were on site August 18th to 20th, conducting their year-end field work. The fiscal office provided much of the requested documentation, continues to work with the auditors throughout the field work process. The final audit report is anticipated to be completed and presented in October. The town's transition to a .gov domain is now being coordinated with the migration to the new website platform. The agreement with Civic Plus for the town's website redesign has been executed, and initial project kickoff meetings are scheduled for tomorrow. Initial plans for rollout is April 2027. Preparations for a town-wide technology assessment of municipal buildings, including network hardware reviews and system planning with the ad hoc technology committee, are ongoing and is scheduled for next Monday. And we've continued discussions with outside IT providers and technology advisors to help us with the definition of this .gov domain. Planning and replacement of the town's current ERP system continues to progress as scheduled. The project kickoff meeting was held on Tuesday, during which a timeline for the financial module was established. There's going to be weekly project meetings that will start next week. Initial data files and a series of reports have already been provided to support the implementation process. The project remains on track for completion of September 2027. The town received proof materials for the municipal code update. So Karen, you're going to be happy with this. We're going to finally get the codified ordinances and our most recent charter updated on E-code. Hooray. The proof is due to the vendor on August 28th, and it should be updated shortly thereafter. The board held a meeting with the retirement and planning board. They held their meeting on August 12th to review the RFP results. The board identified 3 finalists: USI for pension and investment advisory, Morgan Stanley for investment advisory, and the incumbent principal. Next steps are setting up interviews and calling references. 2026 gain year to date was $645K. Their ending balance on the pension is $11.7 million as of June 30th. Next regular meeting is scheduled for October 14th. And I believe they have a meeting scheduled sometime in September to talk about the 3 finalists. Strategic plan, the Board of Selectmen will continue its strategic plan discussions in September, building on the work that was completed to date. Capital plan for the budget. So this is something that I've got for the Board of Finance. I've been getting a lot of questions on what is considered to be a capital project. Back in 2024, the board was working on fiscal policies, and one that we had in draft form was the capital plan. I'd like to request the Board of Finance to revisit this draft policy and see if we can get it in place before the next budget season. So I gave a copy of that to Karen for distribution to the Board of Finance, and I'd be happy to participate in getting this revised and closed. And finally, the personnel administrator has begun looking for a Board of Finance clerk. That's all I've got. Questions for me? Steve?
Yeah, this is on some of the stuff you said. The selection of the three call them partners for investment.
Yep.
USI, Morgan Stanley, they stayed with principal. Is that all that information available to the public?
I don't know if the RFPs are available. They probably should be. I mean, we have them.
Could be.
We have them a soft copy, as well as, I mean, the hard copy, you see these things, they're like 3 inches thick, right? Yeah, but I believe that they provided those
You didn't get a
summary or synopsis?
Yes.
You send a note to Mark Kroll, and he's been coordinating most of that, I think.
Yeah.
The meeting that Paul alluded to, I think, was scheduled for September 12th, although it's possible it's moved.
Yeah, it's not on the calendar. That's why he says I looked. The next one on the calendar was October 14th. So, but I thought it was the 12th was the next planned meeting. But it's, like I said, we probably haven't put the agenda in place and locked in a room yet. So
That's probably true.
It can't be the 12th, that's a Saturday.
okay,
12th of September is a Saturday.
yeah, I don't know
So-
when.
Hopefully that week sometime.
Yes.
And just to follow up on Paul's statement relative to the capital plan policy, I will get that out to everybody to review. I will encourage you to send your comments and questions in advance of next month's meeting. So if there's additional research that needs to be done, we can have that done. But the intention would be is that we would look to put that policy in place at our next meeting. Any other questions or comments for Paul?
On the pension fund, what percentage are we at?
So obviously we're going through the audit right now, but I believe the last time we were at like 71%, somewhere around there. But we'll, when we get the audit, we'll get a general idea of where
So
we're at.
it's improved, right?
Yes, it has. I mean, it's definitely improved. I know it was in the high 60s
Right.
prior to that.
67, 68.
Yeah, and in fact, we're sitting at 11.7 million. I believe last year it was like just under 10 because it's actually when we went to 11.7, we actually got a reduction in the basis points because we're up above 10 million. We actually got a discount on the management fee.
But that delta, what, 10 something to 11.7, what's that delta? Is it $1 million?
Yeah, it was about probably almost 2 million, 1.7. So it was like 9 point something, I believe, at the end of from last year's annual report.
Oh, the annual report.
Right. Yep.
They're working on it.
Yep. They're working on it.
Okay, moving on, chairman's comments. First off, I can't believe that we're already to the end of August. I have no idea where the summer has gone. That said, kind of like this, students have gone back to school, I kind of feel that we as a Board of Finance are in that same mode in a few areas. Nairi will be able to discuss further in the treasurer's portion of the meeting, but every day continues to bring something new to look at, to reconcile, and to correct. The continuity of reporting remains weak, and the time required to answer or provide documentation to the auditors continues to be time-consuming. Additionally, as we move forward with the ERP implementation, as Paul referenced earlier, additional data must be submitted to OpenGov. I'm sharing this with you so you understand the challenges facing the fiscal office. As a general reminder, the fiscal staff positions are 35 hours per week in those positions. They aren't exempt positions. The people in those positions are happy with their 35 hours. They aren't looking to expand upon that. So despite the implementation of our new payroll system within the last couple of years, it takes close to 2 days for the staff to process every payroll every other week. As a side note, the payroll will be addressed as part of the implementation to OpenGov. I mention that because of the amount of time, if you think about the work week and 35 hours, if 2 days every other week are spent just processing payroll, it's very, very hard to make progress in addressing a lot of the things that we're working on.
That's insane.
It is insane.
What program processes payroll here in the town? Do they punch a card?
Tyler School, and that's
Come on.
part of the problem.
In a nutshell, it's because in a school environment, you aren't going to have, say, the multiple shifts like you have for the police department as far as their
Private
overtime
duty,
schedule.
you've got weird things going on.
Hours
with
that aren't really
hours.
time and a half hours and things like that.
Wow.
It's one of the things that when we were looking at which ERP system we were going to go through. And I already provided some of, I'll call it the worst case scenarios to both Tyler Muni as well as to OpenGov to make sure that their system was going to be able to improve what we have here. So it is going to improve, but unfortunately that is going to be part of the implementation.
And unfortunately, that also is the second half of the
Correct.
implementation. The first half is we're focusing on the financials. We need to get the chart accounts in there. Once that's in, then everything else starts to build on that. And so the human capital piece of it, which is where payroll is going to be the second half, unfortunately. So it's going to be almost a full year on the current system.
That said, progress is being made. It's just not at the pace that everyone would prefer. While it might seem early, next month I will have a draft of the dates for the 2027 meeting schedule, as well as the calendar for fiscal year 27-28 budget process. It's important that we review and commit to this schedule at this time so we don't create conflicts with the implementation schedule. As was already previously mentioned, weekly meetings are being scheduled and there will be certain critical deadlines there, so we just have to integrate the two. I do have one item that we need to add to the agenda that I'll need to be taking a motion on, and that is to review and approve the reporting on special revenues, and we'll do that under new business. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to add review and approve special revenue fund reporting to the new business section of the agenda.
So moved.
Mike, and seconded by Stan. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes for our special meeting on July 29, 2026. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Board of Finance special meeting minutes of July 29, 2026.
So
Stan first, Mike second. Discussion, any changes, corrections, clarifications?
Yeah, I have a question or two. I noticed that there's a reference as one of the state grants, G3 migration needs.
What page of the minutes are you on?
Oh, it's not, there are no page numbers on the
Okay, the
page, so
category,
it's a little
sorry.
bit hard to tell. It is, I guess, after treasurer's report numbers.
It's page 5. I have it. It's under state grants.
All right,
Yeah,
Well, mine
So-
prints up where you have cybersecurity grant budget.
ad hoc committee
G2
working on,
migration.
right. Is that the section you're talking about, Andy?
the section that's under state grants, the
Yep.
first couple of bullets.
Yep.
What, can you say a little bit about the G3 migration? I know a little bit about it in general, but I'm wondering what it is that that really refers to.
So that is GCC. So that's the government tenant that's in Microsoft. And so right now we're currently in an enterprise tenant, and that is an E3 license. There was a suggestion that we should be moving to the GCC tenant, which is a government tenant.
Mhm.
And that was a G3 license. So that's what that's in reference to.
Okay. And the other question I had in there was, what does EMPG stand for?
It's like the emergency management grant that Amy Clark works on for the work that she
Okay.
does.
And then finally, in the next section, I'm guessing, but Loeb Farm, I'm guessing should
Loeb,
be
that-
Loeb
that-
Farm.
That's a
Yes,
typo.
Loeb.
I think that's all. Here.
Okay.
I just have a general question because I was here. All these revenues that you list on these parts, that goes back to the 413,000 that you listed on the back of page 4. You said on the bottom page, tax revenue, favorable variance of 413,000. That's only taxes, right?
That is only the taxes. These
So
are the other items that were identified in the monthly reports where the comments are on the side,
Okay.
okay, for like particular line
For
items
each
by department.
By department.
Yep.
Let me see. I guess you could wait on there. Yeah, I can wait.
Okay, any other? I will add the explanations and mention the typo and look to add page numbers for the future. That being said, I'll accept a motion. We have the motion and the second on the floor, excuse me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Nairi,
All right.
showtime.
All right, if you guys can turn to the month-end report, the revenues, the general fund revenues, we're going to talk about first. The town is off to a solid start for fiscal year 26-27. As of July 31st, general fund revenues totaled approximately 18.1 million, primarily driven by the collection of current property taxes. This represents approximately 40.6 of the annual revenue budget, which is typical given the timing of the tax collection cycle. For revenues, the current property tax collections were 17.9 million, representing about 49% of the budget. Investment earnings remain strong at 47,000 for the month, slightly ahead of recent trends and continuing to benefit from the higher interest rates and for the cash that we're receiving in. As part of Newtown Savings Bank and the special relationship that they gave us, every single one of our funds is basically earning the investment interest expense, aside from about maybe like $450,000, which they require us to keep. But every day that sweeps in and sweeps out. So that's where we're seeing the 47,000 come from.
What's the total amount of that money on
It
average?
changes like day by day. So literally, I would say the last couple of days of July is when we received the highest collections of the
Right.
taxes. So I would say the number in terms of investment income is a little bit low in July is versus what we're going to see in August. But funds are always like shifting in, shifting out.
Because, yeah, I did a quick check across the investment rates. You should have been on average around 4% for last year, which is very good. Because it went from 4.4 something to about 3.7. So I just took it in the middle. Just in my head, so 4% is very good. But it also
The rates you showed were 3.75.
this month.
This month.
We'll go back a year ago, they were 4.47. I did a fiscal year.
Can
Because
you,
you don't get 4.7 a month, you only get 1/12 of that.
Okay, Steve.
can you say a little bit about how much effort it takes to optimize the investment interest selections? And do you have to shift things back and forth manually, or somebody else?
No. Honestly, what I did last year was I negotiated with Newtown Savings Bank.
Yep.
We used to have to keep a much higher balance in our general fund, and we didn't get any interest on any of our other like special revenue fund or ARPA fund or bond fund. So it was really the negotiation with Doug that got us there. They manage that, and you can actually see the funds moving in and moving out, and you can see, where they're being placed.
So Newtown is actually doing the work to shift our money around so that
The sweeping.
Yes.
okay. And are we using the Newtown interest all the time, or do we also use STIF as well?
That's why we look at the difference every month between the Newtown Savings Bank and STIF, and they are honestly so close. We do have some money that comes into the STIF account, but really they're usually like 0.1%.
That's what I was going to say is, given the personnel shortages, I guess, in your office, it doesn't seem like trying to shift things around to get 4 extra basis points or something makes any sense, because we're looking at somewhere around 15 million in funds or something like that we get interest on.
Yeah. So Newtown, they've been fantastic with us. They're a great partner. A lot of times, if it's a nice day, people will actually walk over the deposits to the bank. Doug Alley and some other representatives from the bank are actually coming tomorrow, and they're going to talk to the town about, retirement. And so they're offering us a lot of nice things, and they've been a great partner.
Great.
And Steve, you had asked a question That middle line there, investments,
Yeah, I see it
interest,
now. I-
that is where it gets
yeah.
posted.
I saw it now, it's, 1601.
Yes.
I found that after I asked the question.
No problem.
Whereas we'll see in the expense lines, June 30th, we started getting all of our invoices. No one sends us money in, in July. So, I'm going to drop down to just the department revenue. So department revenues performed well. They were led by the town clerk fees. That was 35,000. Building permits, 24,000. Transfer station fees and bag sales, 18,000. And park and rec program income of 16,000. In the LoSiP line, we're able to recognize 28,000 in LoSiP revenue, and that was for the firehouse garage door project, which Janet had done in record time. Did anyone have any other questions on revenue? There's really not a lot there other than property taxes and
Just 1 month of activity.
yeah.
The transfer station, revenue, has that improved?
It kind of has a spike in the summertime where people are, kind of taking time and cleaning things up in their garages. I can't say since we've made them account for receipts, has it been significantly more? It's just the summertime activity has been a little bit higher than just due to spring cleanups.
Volume.
Yeah.
Steve, if you would clean your garage out, we could get.
Bring that right up.
Moving on to expenses.
So for expenditures, if everyone can turn to the general fund expenditures, that is the report that is highlighted all in blue for you guys. When you expand it, I do have it by department as well. And we have commentary in those items too. So there's commentary everywhere and commentary at the department level. So I'm just going to focus on the department level. And if anyone had any further questions, we can go through that. So general fund expenditures totaled approximately 4 million through July, or 8.9% of the annual operating budget, which is in line with expectations for the first month of the fiscal year. A significant portion of the July expenditures reflect the annual or semi-annual obligations that occur at the beginning of the fiscal year. As I mentioned, like June 30th, we started getting invoices hot and heavy for fiscal year 26-27. So many department budgets incur a large share of their dues, subscriptions, software renewals, memberships, and annual service contracts during the first couple months. So some items are going to look a little heavily spent early this year because of that. So the notable July expenditures in the Board of Finance, we actually had our first installment due to King & King. That was $17,000. Fiscal office, information technology, data processing. We had our yearly subscription to Tyler, resulting in $53,000 of data processing expenses. In the month of August, we're going to see the OpenGov data subscription come in. That's going to be about $60,000, which we anticipated for the budget. For the health department, our annual Housatonic Valley Health District assessment of $99,000 that was paid in July. Library, they had their annual subscription of Bibliomation, database services and periodicals that they renewed. That resulted in elevated first month spending for them. And then emergency management, the first Norcom communication system payment of $18,000 was made. So that's one of two for them. Within the fringe and health insurance, July fringe benefits totaled approximately $243,000. Health insurance expenditures appear higher in July because 2 Anthem health insurance invoices were paid during the month, totaling $123,000. In addition, the town makes a semi-annual HSA contribution that was $25,000, and that's funded twice a year. The first funding is in July. These, of course, are partially offset by the employee medical insurance contributions. The town continues its longstanding practice of ensuring that 12 months of health insurance costs are reflected within the fiscal year, regardless of the invoice timing. And as a result, monthly fluctuations could occur, but the budget remains structured to ensure all health insurance obligations are appropriately recognized and funding in the correct period.
When the departments make, when we look at the budget, we look at a total number. When the departments make their monthly budget, do they just take 1/12, or do they actually go through and say, I'm gonna get 35% in the first
Yep.
quarter and then nothing these other months? How do they do it?
Surprisingly to me, in government accounting, no one does monthly budgets.
Right.
It's all full year budgets.
And then they divide by 12,
Yes,
more or less.
yes.
So they don't take, all right, so yeah. No, I mean, in business, because of August is always a bad month with vacation, so you did like 8% or 6% of your revenues versus 1/12, which is a lot higher, yeah.
Right,
All
right.
right, that
So
answers the question.
it's definitely something when we were looking at the ERP systems, I mean, it's something I've been used to doing, so this is very odd for me to look at
Right.
it this way.
Okay, that's all we have to ask.
So some of the budgets as well, I mean, especially like bibliomation, right? I mean, they whack their entire budget in one shot, right?
Right.
Because it's due in July.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be at like 80 or 90% at that point, right?
Right.
So there's gonna be some that are
But
there.
we should know that's all it's gonna be.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
I have some questions, I guess, largely about the software. So I'm a little head scratching, I guess, is the Vertasoft license that's in there. I think of Vertasoft as having a customer base almost entirely in small businesses trying to work with governments and not having large revenue streams coming from a place like Woodbury. Can you explain what that's about?
That is our OpenGov software. So Vertisoft had awarded OpenGov, they had gotten a contract. So that was one of the ways we were able to select OpenGov without having to go to bid.
Okay,
It's a third party.
all right, that's fine. Can you say a little bit about the shift in GIS provider and what that's going to bring to town?
So the GIS provider that we currently had was sold to a company in Illinois or Indiana, either one of the two. That company our assessors had experience with in the past and felt that their customer service was very low. So she came forward and said, if we go to Tigan
Bond.
Thank you. Ticket Bond. I know I was going to say Ticket Brown, but I know that wasn't right. But so they had some experience with that. And it turns out it was slightly more expensive, but in the long run, it is not because we got extra service from Ticket Bond on that. So that's the reason why we switched.
Okay. And the other question is unrelated actually to software, but really has to do with, are we comfortable now with the premiums on various insurance policies that we had to take, and they were going to come way over budget and then got improved and so on? Are we now in a comfortable place?
We are going to be favorable in the health insurance line for the fiscal year. What I've asked my team to do, rather than having one medical insurance line, we're going to split it out. So we're going to have two medical lines, one for employees, one for retirees, and we're going to have two dental lines. So where the problem with health insurance came was Brown & Brown had told us we were expecting a 30% increase.
Yeah.
And we assumed that last year's budget was made with good numbers, and it just wasn't. So it's something that we are going to continue to monitor. But I do feel, as I mentioned last month, we are going to be favorable in that line.
Okay, thank you.
Irene, just correct me if I'm wrong. So we, in the month of July, took in 18 million plus or minus. Is that?
Yep.
Okay. So when you place this with Newtown Savings or with whomever you do this, do you do a series of very calculated certificates of deposit and that kind of thing versus?
No. It's all taken care of by Newtown Savings Bank. They do a daily sweep out of our account,
Okay.
and they put it in short-term investments. So you can see, like, if you looked at the general fund, there's probably like 20 different funds that the money gets divided up between, but that's all done with them. So money comes in, as you would expect it would come in through deposits or credit card transactions, but they take care of it at the end of the day automatically.
So at the end of the day, you could say that we're relying on Newtown savings to maximize, and that's a fair statement.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can they do it like for free? Manage that money like that?
Well, yes, because they get to use that money
Yeah.
for other
Yeah.
things.
It's like
Yeah.
if you
Float
have-
their,
There's no
their
transaction
business.
Wow, like they get a lot of money to use
Right.
For
for other
example,
stuff.
if you have a brokerage account and you have your dividends and everything else that are paid there put into your back into the account, they sweep that for you. You could go open, if you have the right principal managing your money, you could go in daily and see how much money they swept.
Yeah, but
That day.
Newtown has a really big advantage this time of year, which is that we just collected $18 million
It's not an
and
advantage.
they know that some of that money isn't going to get spent for 6 months. So they can go off and do something that's much higher paying with that money without having any risk.
And the fact that last year, when I reached out to Doug Alley and said, hey, we're having to keep such a high balance that we're not getting interest on, we're considering switching to the Connecticut stiff. And literally, he couldn't have said faster, can you please hold on a second? Let me figure out what I can do. And
Yes.
like, they really changed that very quickly.
You're saying Newtown, but there's only two places you can get that interest rate to use it as a checking account, and that's Stiff or Newtown. So no one's getting any advantages. The people, there's no way you can run the town or run this. That money has to be available when you need it. And that's the only way you can't put it into higher deposits or anything else. You have to keep it in,
That's why it gets swept.
and that's right.
It needs to stay liquid.
It needs to stay liquid.
I-
And before we did this, under the old fiscal officer, none of it was liquid, but it was like having it in your checking account. How much money you make on your checking
Totally
account?
worthless.
Zero.
Exactly.
Right,
That's what we had
And that-
before these SWIFT. So,
right.
and what do you think the bank was getting when you were getting zero?
Big dollar.
Big dollars.
Yeah.
All right.
They're laying out of interest rates.
It's
I,
unfortunate I started so late in the year because the interest rates were so much favorable earlier in the year. I think it was one of the first projects I did.
Yes.
I have one other question, really, I think to plant a seed for something we might consider in the fiscal 28 planning, which is the various departments that have software give us some estimate of what they have been told by the vendors each year when we put a budget together. And I'm curious as to whether we ever go back and look to see how accurate the reported estimates were and whether that's something we should pay some attention to
We have-
come January or February.
Yep, we have a lot of data inconsistencies that we're trying to fix. So for example, if you just take like the data processing line, sometimes there's subscriptions in there, sometimes there's copier paper or toner. So what we're gonna do with our new chart of accounts, first of all, we're gonna try to adopt the Connecticut Uniform Chart of Accounts, but then we're also gonna try to make it more granular and be more specific about where people have to put things. Also, the nice thing about the OpenGov budget software is, say if there's a line like data processing, now you can require them to have to put that in by line item so that you can better keep track of it. So definitely something we're looking to do. One of the other things I know, office supplies was moved to like Department 128 with a sub account of the department. So no one really has accountability for that. We're going to move that back into the departments. So we're really looking to split things out that makes sense, and we've already started doing that. So that when we do our data transition to the new ERP system, we're going to try to come in with as much clean data as we can for fiscal year 26-27. Now is probably a good time to mention we're probably going to have some budget transfers because of that, but they're not real budget transfers because people are
They're just
gonna be
line item
over.
corrections.
They're line item reallocations. Correct.
Is it, in something like office supplies, I guess I think of a lot of places that have sort of central stores for that, and that's not the direction we're going, right?
If we had a purchasing person, we could go in that direction. I think everyone is so stressed right now. It's something that we're gonna start to tell people, hey, we're gonna have, Paul and I talked about maybe having Sue Ellen take a look at where is the most affordable place to buy copier paper, and then telling people, here's where you need to buy copier paper from. So trying to go towards that direction, but we don't have the bandwidth to go totally central purchasing right now.
I was thinking about a lot of these things over the last couple of weeks, and there's no place, Andy, that we can cut and save money in this budget in the amount of $100,000 or $200,000 a year. But the pension board, if they got a better return on their money by 2% on $10 and $11 million, you'd have another couple $100,000 in your pocket. So we're looking at peanuts here, and you have the biggest, and that's why when Mr. Muffy was here, I brought up the STIF program, because John Michaels told me about it in Southbury, and he was and that's how their investments were in STIF. And it took Muffy 8 or 10 months. I don't even think he did it I think he did that then he was here, but he didn't do all the money. And the other place you can do that is your investments in the pension fund to get back more than 7 measly, mediocre % a year. You get that up to 10%, you'll see much more money coming in here than buying papers and pencils. I'm done for tonight.
That's okay. We know what your message is, Steve. And that being said, there is still a need for fiscal responsibility amongst the department heads relative to their spending.
Yes.
And that is being addressed by the first selectman and the fiscal department. I think it's important just to keep in mind that a lot of the new items as far as new gov, remember, go live isn't until 2027. So as we go through this new budget for 26, 27, it will be in the same Tyler format as we have been doing.
How often do they order supplies on a monthly basis?
Most
For
of the
instance,
place,
I order supplies, right? So I get $525 a month.
Yeah.
And I order what I need and gets delivered.
so each department, some places have an ability to store things. I had this conversation with Janet for 2 hours today about talking specifically about, that's why I was smiling. And one of the things that Janet said is she's got no place to store paper. So, because I was going like, why can't we just buy a pallet of paper? All right. And then what we could do is we can, basically centralize it. And then, you need two boxes of copy paper. We give it to you, we bill you for it. It comes out of a center. But the problem is that no place in town do we have a spot that we can put paper that we would not have a problem with it getting moisture and things like that.
Right.
So basically everybody's buying it on their own, and we're trying to address that. So it's you go up on my computer, there's actually a whole document talking about central purchasing, and she told me to calm down because I'm running it at a light speed, and
Right.
the town
We're not
can't
there.
handle
And
that.
there's certain things like paper to think about being delivered, like a pallet of paper. Well, there's nowhere to like wheel paper into here. So we'd be going out like ants trying to bring in paper.
Is there any way we can reduce paper?
Yeah, and yes, definitely.
Because
So
we're going,
Yes.
yes,
So with OpenGov, there's gonna be a lot of workflow automation.
yeah.
So we're gonna be able to send a lot of things electronically. The signatures are gonna be captured electronically. And I will tell you, I've personally seen, because we're so paper driven at the fiscal office, like we have all the invoices in a filing cabinet. That is no longer going to be needed. We're going to have
Save a lot of money.
everything's going to go into OpenGov. It's going to have optical scanning to bring everything in.
Mm-hmm.
And so aside from us having all copies, the department managers know, hey, I don't want to go to the fiscal office to get a copy of my purchase order. So most of the departments keep their own purchase order copies at their own desks.
So we have two.
Yes, we have
copies
two.
now, Right.
Which, once again, they won't need to do that because they will be able to.
So, and then one of the other areas that we were looking at is custodial supplies, right? You know, I mean, that's another one where we've got somebody will buy like 5 mop heads at like the senior center, and then Janet will buy 3, and the library will buy 5, right? And then we've got 15 mop heads around here when we only needed 4. So, because everybody's just buying them and then stockpiling things. So that was another one of the ideas is again, once we have Ed's helper come in, that may be something that we could ask him to do, is to start to, you know, work that. And again, not taking the custodial supplies away from all the department heads, but allow them to, you know, say, you know, we've got a central store and I need a mop head. Okay, we'll ship one over to you and then we'll bill you for it. And we'll work it that way so that it becomes, you know, like I said, a central purchasing thing. But we're not going to be able to do that instantly. We've got to, you know, we've got to walk a little
Find a
bit.
place to hold it all too. So, but you're saying is you'll buy it, and if you're buying more, obviously you get it cheaper rather than this on
Right,
demand paying the highest price. And then they order it kind of from you, and
right,
then you bill them.
right, exactly.
What's our total supply expense?
Good question. Because, no, the reason why I'm saying that, Mike,
I'm giving a thought here because
Yeah.
I'm thinking Tractor Supply, right? All the stores have to order supplies, toilet paper, paper towels,
Yeah.
hand wash, and each store has to order it. So I'm given a budget of, you know, a few $100s a month, right?
Yeah.
So I have to decide what I need to order, and it gets delivered. So everybody orders from Staples.
Yeah.
So is that something that we can look at as a town?
yes,
And you give the fire department, you have this amount of money every month. You can go online, order your supplies,
yes,
and it's delivered by FedEx.
And
So-
that's why we're gonna be putting it back into the department. So, our budget for office supplies for this year, and I just did a quick add up, is about 25,000. And then you have some people like Janet that are very fiscally responsible, and she'll have Angel look at Staples, WB Mason, and find out where the best cost is. And then you have people that'll just automatically go to WB Mason because,
Or Amazon.
or Amazon, just because it's easier, or, you know, they know how to purchase. So one of the things that we should be looking at is like a Staples Business Advantage, and see what kind of discounts we can get from utilizing, you know, stuff like that, or playing two against each other, Staples versus WB Mason. WB Mason tends to be more of a localized unit, so maybe we can negotiate with them and get the best price, or Costco might be the best price.
Do we do the little things like return our inks to Staples and stuff like that?
yes. Yep. And actually, Sue Ellen just clicked, because there was behind the file cabinets up in her office, there were
50?
probably about 50.
That's
They were
good
just,
money.
everybody was just thrown behind the file cabinets, and she looked back there, so she started pulling them out and like filled up her office with empty. So
No, that adds up.
So just a general comment about expenses. At the end of July, revenues and expenditures are tracking as expected for the first month. Early spending reflects the timing of annual contracts, membership subscriptions, as we talked about. At this point, there are no significant operational concerns.
Thank you.
Long-winded.
Capital appropriations, you want to talk about your change in reports?
Yes.
So that we have a better understanding of what
Yep.
we're showing us.
New versus old?
Turning to the capital projects, you may have noticed a new report included in the Board of Finance package. This is our new enhanced capital report, which provides significantly more detail and data than the previous version. I did include the previous version, so if you had questions that, hey, maybe I'm lying, I'm definitely not. I'm not going to review the old one this evening. It just kind of there as a reference point. The new report contains the most complete and current information. And basically, what we never had before, we always had a list of capital projects, and we had the budget, but we never had the spend year to date. So, and we never had the budget transfer. So we have all that here, and I still have the target completion date and the status. And then to align it to how we do the financial reporting, we're reporting it by line item category that it goes into on the expenditures line. So I will say we have 2 projects that are already completed. The first you're aware of is the garage door replacement at the fire department. The second project that was done was the lighting upgrade project at the senior center. So that's just kind of high level, 2 projects being complete. So under the building repairs, which is the first section, so senior center, community, and dining room lighting project's been completed. It came in at budget. We have placed a deposit with the contractor for the bandstand and the Parks and Recreation walkway renovation project, with the work expected to begin in early to mid-September. The third item highlighted in yellow is just something that needs to be reclassed, so that's going to go away next month. Under the equipment and fixed assets, the new police tasers are scheduled to be ordered in December. The new police vehicle has been ordered and is expected to arrive in January. Janet talked about the fire department supply hoses. They're on order but on hold due to the tariffs, so probably not expecting that till the end of the fiscal year. The sander for old truck 10 is also planned to be purchased. However, based on the timing of the budget versus now, the estimate is approximately $1,000 over budget, but it hasn't been placed on order yet, so it's not showing as an encumbered amount quite yet.
Is there a risk that there will be an additional cost overrun while we wait to place the order?
That sander, they've actually got the updated estimate. They're just waiting to place the order. That one I don't expect to come in any higher than that.
Okay.
It's not going to be like a 6-month delay, obviously.
What are they waiting for?
Just they put in the orders for the other trucks too. So I think it's just a matter of them trying to balance the,
Well, winter's right around
Yes.
the corner.
they're expecting to have it for like, I think I have November in there, November 2026.
But they haven't ordered it yet.
No, but that it's kind of like they will be ordering. I think we'll see that in,
September,
August.
October, November.
yeah. And we're talking about July here. So
Right, we can probably see it next month.
yes.
They just didn't do it in the first.
Right, they didn't do it
days
in
of
the first
new
month.
fiscal year.
Right.
How slacky of them, you know?
They're busy filling potholes.
Yeah, listening to complaints.
He comes into my store all the time. We'll talk to you later about that. He's doing a good job.
Under site improvements, the shed/concrete slab has not started and there's no start date for that. I think they're still looking to talk to O&G about that and whether they can supply it. Hollow Park improvements requires an updated RFP, which we've been talking about. Now we're in year 2. We were unable to encumber the year 1 expenses per King and King because we didn't have a vendor. The second round of trash receptacles will be ordered in the fall and installed in the spring. And then per will, the 3 Rivers Park corridor project began in June, and that's expected to continue through the fall of 2027.
This is probably certainly a trivial point, but it says ordering in early fall will be placed in the spring. I associate placed to be placing an order, not placing a rubbish container.
Yes, no.
Put on location.
Yes, put
in
on
the spring.
location in the springtime.
Yeah,
And that's so the
maybe you could clarify the wording a little bit.
I did change it when I was doing my
Okay.
commentary.
That's fine.
So under the capital reserve, I'm pleased to report that we have completed both our welcome meeting and our financial management module kickoff meeting with OpenGov. The overall project, which includes financial management, budget, and human capital management, which includes payroll, is scheduled to go live by September of 2027, with each module launching on a staggered timeline. We are also holding the kickoff meeting for our new website with Civic Plus tomorrow. Angel and Sue Ellen are co-chairing the project and have already begun sharing ideas with Paul and myself. We are excited to create a more resident-friendly website that will serve as a hub for shared meetings, events, and opportunities to engage with the community.
Communication system is just the lease.
The communication system is just the lease, and that is actually being switched over tomorrow. So originally, earlier this week, we were told that there were some problems with Frontier, and that has been cleared up. It was a problem on Frontier's end, so it's gonna be switched tomorrow, and literally, Janet said it's literally one flips off, one flips on, you won't know the difference.
The one thing that's gonna happen on that is, so while this thing switches over, we're going to continue with the same set of frequencies that we have today. They're gonna run them simultaneously with the old system and the new system to make sure everything is working. And then starting in the beginning of October, there is an extra channel that was installed in there. And so what they're going to do is they're going to peel ambulance off of fire, so that the fire department will have their own channel and ambulance will have their own channel, which is going to be a godsend for the firemen, because 90% of the alarms going off are for the ambulance. So our firemen will hopefully get a little bit more sleep. But that cutover is supposed to happen in October, beginning of October. And then what they're going to be doing is reflashing all of the radios. So they're going to be going through, and including the police department, they'll fix all of those up. So work will continue on that.
On page 2.
Before you
Oh.
go there, I'm sorry, but
That's right.
there's an overrun, I guess, on truck 10. It looks like at the very bottom of the page 1.
So maybe yours printed out page 1, mine goes to page 2.
Two,
Those are my next 2 items.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
truck 9 and 10 have both been ordered. Truck 9 is approximately $14,000 under budget, and they're gonna get an additional $7,500 discount if the payment's made within 30 days of when the invoice is sent out. So truck 10, which is the other new truck, is approximately $14,000 over budget.
Okay.
And that's due to the addition of an aluminum toolbox that's located between the cab and the dump body. The toolbox provides secure storage, tool charging capability, and lighting. While it was not included in the original estimate, it is expected to improve efficiency for the public works staff.
Toolbox for $14,000.
But I think
Part of it's timing too, like just between budget and now.
No, but I think it's like
like-
a toolbox plus,
Right.
because it's got a whole bunch of other stuff that's in it. It's
Right.
not just, because if they were just doing a toolbox,
Right.
they'd
No,
be
it's
coming
not,
to see
right.
you, Mike.
Right.
Right, so-
It's
So-
like,
so is it-
it's like an actual compartment that goes between the cab and the dump, where they can put like, shovels and, rakes and
Yeah,
stuff.
but they also put electrical
Yes, and they can charge
tools
the
in there
stuff
to
there
get
too.
charged
Yeah,
while
that's
driving
in there.
around.
Yeah.
So is it fair to assume that there is a process for approving the overrun, or are you using the two together to offset the total overrun if necessary, so that this has been approved?
That's a great question. It's a question that I had for the board. I wasn't sure, since it was within the same category, how that works.
They'll be offset to each other.
But do they have to have a formal transfer? That's what the question is does this?
They're in the
Why
same,
they're-
they're in the same account, so
They're in the
there's
same
no way to
account.
Well,
transfer.
it certainly shouldn't be the case that nobody knows
Right.
that
But
it's
I,
happening.
that's been brought to your attention as far as what he was
Yeah.
doing, so it isn't an unknown.
Right.
Purchase orders had to be approved, and I'm sure that Dave
Well, if you read
had
this
looked
sheet,
at it.
if you go above it, you'll see the original, the 9 and 10, number 9 was 365, and they only paid 351.
That's it's only what they spent to date, though.
Yeah, and it says to be determined.
The to be determined is the completion date.
Yeah, but the 14.7 is positive,
Right, so the 14, for truck 9,
yes.
right now they're saving 14,000, so they're
That's right.
anticipating the total truck to cost 350,000.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's not what they spend, it's what they total anticipate. So they have a plus of 14.47. Down below that, they have a negative 14.2. That's a wash.
right. And they'll have an
Very good.
additional 7.5
So
when we pay the invoice on time.
No, but I think Andy's point is that
Yes.
somebody's, right. I think Andy's point is that there needs to be an awareness and possibly an approval. Right, and that's up on me to sign off POs.
Right. There is,
I won't let them go over budget, and that was part of the conversation I had, was that, okay,
Right.
you're way under on this truck, you're over on this truck, if it's within
And that's
200
fine,
bucks.
it's just,
Yeah,
you have to approve it, that's
yes,
all.
Right.
yes.
How did we go under 14, Craig?
When you're at that large of an amount, I think they ended up going with
Freightliner.
Freightliner. So,
Change brands.
yep, change brands.
Oh.
And with that expense of a truck, you know,
Yeah.
there was just a better opportunity in pricing.
And the other.
And as you said, I'm sorry, Andy,
Yeah.
and as she said that, you know, we have a net 30, so we can get an
Right.
extra $7,500
That's
net
So,
30.
at that will mean that you'll eventually be 7,500 to the good for the two
Yes.
combined.
And
Great.
we will need $1,000 for the sander, so they're still
That's right.
net
There's still some.
positive.
But that is something, once again, back to Andy's question, that Dave is bringing to Paul as the selectman to get the approval to move forward on what he's doing. It isn't that it's waiting until it trickles through the fiscal office and we
Right.
get a report that shows us that we have this problem.
So in the last section, which is the LoCIP funded items. So as we saw, Janet brought some show and tell today with the garage door replacement and the new rescue truck. So I feel sorry for us next month because we're gonna have nothing cool to look at. The library flat
Bring
roof.
apples.
The library flat roof project is scheduled to begin at the end of October, weather permitting. The selected vendor is called The Roofer, with a target completion date of November 2026. Hopefully, we won't find any pulled pork board surprises this time around. There's 2 items for the library renovations. One's with the stairwell carpeting that's scheduled for October 12th, and the side door replacement is planned for the early spring. The Three Rivers projects remains ongoing with a target completion date of late spring. And then 2 projects are on hold for just right now. The Old Town Hall renovations and the Park and Recreation roof replacement project. They're on hold pending potential award of grant funding, and Richard Coates is driving that. He's supposed to follow up with Ed around the January timeframe at latest, if we don't have an answer by then, to figure out if we have to move forward on those 2.
On
we know where it's looking?
The roofer, was he the lowest bidder?
Yes, it was a lot, much significantly lower than the other 2.
You have a contract with him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
On the Three Rivers barn renovation, do we know?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wasn't even looking. On the Three Rivers barn renovation, do we have anything on that when it says targeted completion date? Do we know who's doing that? Is it LNG or?
No, so Ed is doing that in his spare time. So what he's doing is he's working the other ones, and then when he's got some downtime, they'll go in there and he'll bring in like Wagner and a few other small contractors to help do things in there. So that's really, to him, a lot of that activity is going to be a winter project for him, right? When things start to slow down around here, then he can start focusing more on there. There's a lot of mold remediation is what's going on over there. If you go into that Three Rivers barn.
Yeah, when we did the tour on public buildings and then we
Yeah.
had an LNG quote.
Yeah.
To see what they would do. It was an extensive job. So good.
Yeah.
Good
So that's
for him.
kind of what Ed's doing is slow but sure, and he's like targeting certain pieces to work through.
Okay.
And
In fact, one of the big things for Mike is they actually had installed a new power panel so that now when you're in the potato barn and you're setting up for the haunted hayride, you don't have to run into any of the other garages. It's all
plug
got
it
its
in.
own power now. So,
That's awesome.
Coming around the corner.
yep.
I just wondered if you knew where the town and Richard Coates in particular was looking for grant money to.
The steep grant, they've already applied for it.
It was an historic grant. I'm not sure if it was steep
Oh.
or if it was, there was the historic, so
I was gonna say
the
the
same
same one
grant
that we
that they
went to
did,
before, right?
the same grant that what they did the exterior of that.
Mhm.
And I think it's a 50-50 match
Okay.
is what the grant, because I think the steep, maybe, I don't think it was
No.
steep.
So those kinds of things ought to be pretty high. You have a high chance of getting funding for some of those things.
Yes,
Mhm.
right. And again, some of those grants, and the reason why we're delaying that until January is because if we start the work, we don't get the grant. So we're just gonna
Yep.
hang on to the thing. And what's gonna be replaced in there is not anything that is critical, causing any damage. So we can hold off on that.
I like the new report a lot better.
I hated the old report, I must admit. I really like this report. It shows a lot of information, where we are versus budget. and just highlight. So what happens is.
We like it because we've never had that. 12
Exactly.
years.
What's nice is what it points out, and what we need to be a little bit more thoughtful about is when projects cross fiscal years. And that happened with some projects from last year, like with the fuel master, fuel cell upgrade and the Three Rivers. So those were things that weren't on the 25-26 budget, but they did hit within LoSiP, which we're going to talk about in a couple subjects. So this will guarantee that we will capture anything that hits. We'll have to be a little bit more thoughtful when we're doing our budgets if we think capital projects are going to cross years, because they really should. Like, if there was something that crossed a year, like say for example, the furniture replacement at Park and Rec, we did award the bid. We have that encumbered, so we're good with that one. But say for Hollow Park, we didn't have an RFP, therefore we didn't have a vendor, therefore King and King would not let me encumber that money. So now we almost sort of kind of lost that money, although obviously it would go down to the unassigned fund. We don't have, it's not there anymore.
Which will also help us with our new reporting, because we'll be able to have capital projects that roll over from one year to another year.
In the new ERP
Yeah.
system.
Right.
Yes.
And then I guess one other open item from last fiscal year was just the Hollow Park bathrooms. So Ed did say he plans on opening them for the carnival that's coming up, but he's probably going to close them. We are short custodians right now. We don't have the lead technician, and we've talked about having the custodians clean the bathroom. So they're just, as they're still putting their finishing touches on it, they're going to keep the family restroom closed probably for this next month, except for the carnival.
I'm assuming the vandalism got repaired.
Yes. And we did, on that vandalism, we did catch the ample, and we did receive retribution.
Great.
I think you had mentioned that last
time.
Yeah.
Relative to the next items on the agenda concerning audit and year-end, Nairi, if you just want to give a general status as to where we are. I know some of them are still in process. The bonds, as far as the entries that need to be made and getting that through the
Yep.
auditors.
So the bonds, we're waiting for some guidance from King and King. Paul and I played good cop, bad cop. Basically, what King and King was trying to tell me is like, you need to go back to the bond commission and hire their lawyers. But we're telling them, well, no, we know what we've overspent. We just need a guidance on how do we close these out. So we're definitely waiting on that from them.
They gave a recommendation, but I'm not too happy with what they said to us, so we're working it.
Part of the reason for their hesitation is when they come in and audit, they just audit a particular year's activity. So they just take the prior year's ending balance as a beginning balance, and they look at what you did, and then they give you a new ending balance. If they did not know and do not know what that initial beginning balance was comprised of, for us to say to them, we want to close these items out and make these entries, they don't have the insight and knowledge to say, oh yes, those dollars are in there or aren't in there, and that's why they're giving us pushback on how we want to clean these up. But
The
we will
fund would,
persevere.
right, as Sean explained to me, and I don't know if I was the good cop or the bad cop.
Probably you're both
Yeah,
bad.
probably both bad and better, I don't know. But the way that Sean explained it to me is that fund actually has bond money in it, it's got grant money in it, it's got donations in it, and they can't figure out where that money is. And he says that fund is showing it has $800,000 in it. But we know that there's not a fund in there with $800,000, because I walked in and Irene says, hey, we found $800,000. Right? And she's going, yeah, no. So that's what part of the problem is that they don't know how to close it. And so he's got a couple of crazy recommendations, and I don't think we can do what he's asking to do. So
We'll get through it,
we're going to get through it.
but that's why the bonds is still an open item because of our challenge there.
So LoSiP, I'm going to skip over for a second. I do have something to go over with everyone on that. And then FEMA and ARPA, Karen and I are going to be talking about that tomorrow.
We're close.
We are close on that. So probably we'll have something for next month on that. So
One of the problems with both of those as to why we have to revisit and it's taken time is that if you recall at the end of last fiscal year, there was a disagreement as to the authority that the Board of Finance had when it came to moving funds to different funds. So we had made a lot of transfers and King said, oh, you can't do that. We got legal opinion that said, yes, we could do that. We had had it before, but they had made all of their journal entries. So we have to go back and reverse all of their journal entries that they made last year. So we're at the same starting place as to where we as the Board of Finance thought we were at. So that's what Nairi and I are working on tomorrow.
So for LoSiP, if you want to just take one and pass it down.
And I can assure you, before Nairi even goes through this, this has been a quagmire as well. And that's a nice way of calling it.
Yes.
FEMA, ARPA, and BONDA are 4-letter bad words. LoSiP is our 5-letter bad word. But as part of LoSiP, obviously a couple years ago, they changed from the entitlement to the grant. And this really reconciles the grant money as we get the money at the end of the year and have to report it. So at the top of the page, you can see the fiscal year the money was received. So total to date we've received is $346,104. Fiscal year 24-25, we expended $50,270 is what we reported to the state. So the funds remaining are $295,833.67. And essentially what we wanted to do is to reconcile this to make sure that we are not going to lose any LoSiP funding going forward. So as a part of our year-end,
Going forward. So
Like,
we've
so-
lost-
well, no, we haven't lost anything, but what we are putting ourselves in danger of is rolling over money that the state is giving us and not using it. So I think there was some confusion with the grant and how the previous fiscal officer was allocating it.
Really?
Maybe with the entitlement too. But
Surprised.
our thoughts are, we had a budget for this year, but we had extra money that we had gotten in 23-24. And we thought the best way to handle it was to see what other projects fall within our capital budget for this year that can be considered LoSiP. So that's what we did. So overall, we received the $346,000. We've expended 55. We have 296 left. Last month, when I did the financial reports, we had 141,000 in LoSiP expenditures. Because the LoSiP funding is intended to support projects completed during the fiscal year, we are proposing adjusting entries to King that several qualifying projects be funded through LoSiP to better align expenditures with the grant resources. So 3 projects that I highlighted in green are what we proposed to them to move into LoSiP. So the library roof replacement was one of them. $56,000 that was originally budgeted under building maintenance, and we're going to be moving that to LoSiP. The second one is the old town hall air conditioning. That was $61,000. That was originally planned to be funded from the capital reserve account, and that will go to LoSiP. And then the third one was the Hollow Park Wi-Fi. That was originally budgeted in the capital reserve account and also going through LoSiP. So the total of those 3 projects is $127,000. and represents eligible uses of available LoCIP funding.
But we've already expended them.
That's why we're making the
Yes.
journal entries.
Yes.
So when you get your
So does
LoCIP
it-
money,
So
Mike,
does it mean that we have that 146,000?
So you'll have that money
use
back
for
in the
something
cap
else?
reserve, yes.
Yes.
yeah, so what you do is you expend the money and then they give you the grant
Right.
after.
That's
So
what
what has
most
ended up
of
happening
the
is we
all the
didn't
time.
really expend the money.
Right.
So the money has been actually sitting there. So
And
what
there
we're
was-
doing is-
It was just questions of what year you can apply these things to. And I think
So
even
that,
with,
that money, that 140-something thousand is gonna go into the capital reserve fund?
Well, one of them will go to
They're
cap
coming-
reserve, or two of them
Yeah.
go to cap reserve. The other one will be a flow through relative to what the surplus is for the year, which then goes to the unassigned fund balance, and then we can make changes accordingly.
So that means we still have $150,000 left in LoCIP then?
no,
You
I'm
already
getting there.
expended, yeah.
All right,
I'm getting there.
sorry.
I'm getting there. Okay. So, to add to the confusion, in addition, during our year-end balance sheet analysis, and our year-end analysis, we identified two other LoCIP project-funded projects that were not recorded within the appropriate LoCIP grant accounts. One of them being the Fuel Master upgrade. That actually was 14,000. That went to the LoCIP entitlements account, and that was just kind of, again, like having one versus the other. I think Public Works was working with the entitlement account with the trees, and I think when they did the Fuel Master, they just put it in there, so we found that during our review. And then the Three Rivers renovations, there was 13,000 that we identified that was in the balance sheet. So essentially, we're trying to fix the problem that King & King says we have no year-end procedures. So rather than last year, I think everything automatically went to expenditures. Now everything's kind of hitting the balance sheet first, and then we're doing a manual journal entry every month to clear it. So that was found. So those adjustments will ensure LoCIP funded projects are properly accounted for. So to recap, June 2026 LoCIP expenditures for the full year, we had 141,000. Projects that we're going to reclass to LoCIP is 127. The items found during the year-end review is 27,000. So then the total LoCIP expenditures for 25-26 is 295,000, which surprise, surprise, that matches exactly what our remaining balance is. And we're only going to carry over $98 as opposed to hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why we did what we did is because we believe that this year the LoCIP requirement is if you haven't spent your LoCIP money prior, then they will not give you your $115,000 allocation this year. So that was the reason why we went through and looked back.
Yeah.
All right, and tried to pull that thing in there because we want to make sure that we're maximizing the dollars that we're getting from the
Nice
state.
job.
So
So
we may lose $98.
that's okay. A very sincere thank you to Nairi and her tenacity to go through this. As you can see, it required her to go back multiple years, look through our crappy documentation and try to make heads or tails of it. And if she didn't have the tenacity to want to balance it, it'd still be a mess.
And it was also a little bit of a matter of talking through with Karen and Paul, like, hey, what projects qualify? And we had a whole list. And then Teresa going through some balance sheets saying, oh, I found these other things. So I already had this reconciled, and now I had to re-reconcile it.
So can we take that $98 that's left over and go buy a can of paint over it?
You didn't spend it, so you don't have it. Spend it
And
first and then put it in. Then you
What,
can take
what
it.
worked out nice is these were all clean moves. So it wasn't like you took a little bit from here and a little bit from there. So at the end of the day, when I had the $98 left, I'm like, could I move
That's
something else
unbelievable.
there? And I was like,
Oh,
you know,
that's
it's not
amazing.
And the other thing that was key on this was, again, part of the LoCIP requirement, Andy, if you remember, is that they had to come out of a capital project that was already approved by the governing body of town, and every single one of these things was approved. So we were we did the letter of the law with the lawsuit.
That's great.
Put the bed.
She's,
And our
that
LoSiP
pebble gets flipped off of Mount Everest now.
There you go.
So the LoSiP reporting is due by September 1st. We did send the entries over to King and King. I told her that if they had any questions or concerns to let us know ASAP. So that'll be submitted on time, just holding off for a little time to make sure that they don't say, no, you can't do this for whatever reason. But
Everything
everything
that you let me know. I'll
I
be
would,
ready to
I would.
argue that fact big time.
I don't
Be the
think it'll
worst
happen.
cop for against send Karen in there.
That's right. Moving on the agenda, as was discussed in last month's meeting, just wanted to go through action items and provide a quick update of the status of items. Obviously, my annual report for the annual report for the town is dependent upon the audit. Once that's complete, that will be submitted. The departments have been working on their submissions, and I know that Sue Ellen is following up with them. As far as the audit documentation, Nairi has already provided us with a status report on that. The ERP Open Gov contract and kickoff, as reported, has been completed. The monthly reporting from Park and Rec Senior Center and Library is ongoing. Nairi has received some submissions. She initially was very general in what the request is, so now she's working with the department heads to bring them better in line so that they have more tangibility. The budget control metrics is ongoing because that's related to negotiations. That's on Paul's to-do list. South Green conveyance has or has not taken place. I forgot to ask you that.
So the South Green conveyance, we saw DOT they had the surveyors out. They're completing the map. Once the map is done and we approve the map, then it goes to a 30-day review in the state, and then that will be conveyed to us. So hopefully, as I told the American Legion a few weeks ago, we're hoping that we have this whole thing done by Veterans Day, and we'll plan a rededication of the Cannon Green.
Great. The policy relative to how frequently an employee can make a pension request is still ongoing and not complete. Animal control costs are still under evaluation, as is the transfer station e-waste vendor and the item tracking. Those are just bigger projects.
I could
that take
actually,
place.
an update on the e-waste. I did check with Sue on the e-waste, and the current vendor that we have is not charging us anything for e-waste. So that is closed.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. I have to tell you that.
No, that's
When
okay.
you say e-waste, you're talking about the electronics?
Yeah, the electronics, great.
So if you have your dead electronics, just go drop them off.
Man, they take them for free, huh?
Yeah, you just put them in the little buckets.
Yeah,
probably
well, I mean, they'll take them for free, but then what they do is they
part it
do
out.
reclamation in there, and they'll pull the
Take the
gold out of
tubes
that
out?
Yeah.
and everything else. So, yeah, and that's how they make their money.
Yeah, they teach that. Like the Star Wars episode.
So that's the status on the open items, and we'll continue to do that each month. The next item under new business is the review and approval of the special revenue fund reporting, another opportunity for Nairi. She gets new opportunities every day.
Take one, pass it
Some
along.
government department called New Opportunities.
Yeah, there is.
New
We got some
opportunities for
problems
Waterbury.
too.
Is it the case that you and Nairi, and I guess Paul, who prepared, you're all speaking from notes about these various items. Will those things make it into the minutes?
What do you mean make it into the minutes? We don't take our notes and attach them to the meeting minutes, no.
Well, I wondered how it gets reflected in,
And just what we write, when it gets recorded there, it talks about it.
okay.
If you want a copy, but I'd be more than happy to give you a copy of my notes.
Well, I think it'd be useful for the board members to have a copy rather than trying to write as quickly as the other people can speak them.
Okay, so this is special revenue. So it's important to note that the annual rollover of special revenue funds has historically been treated as more of an administrative dot the i's, cross the t's exercise within the fiscal office. However, these funds are separate from the general fund and are established for specific purposes, making it important that the Board of Finance formally review and approve their continuation or closeout each year. So today is the continuation and closeout fund. This process provides greater transparency regarding fund balances, fund sources, and intended uses while ensuring that each fund continues to serve a valid public purpose. To be honest, we still have some work to do in better defining and documenting the long-term purpose of certain funds to ensure they are remaining aligned with their intended objectives. However, department managers now have been assigned responsibility for these funds and will be playing a key role in reviewing their purpose, activity, and ongoing needs as part of an annual continuation process.
Karen, you have a beef.
I remember,
There's a beef.
I remember
I'm
doing
not
this exercise about 6 years ago or
Yes.
so, where we had to close out the funds.
Yeah.
It's been a while, so. Well, now we'll do it on a regular basis, not every
Yes.
6 years.
Yeah, and there's some in here
Yes, Mike.
that could be a little questionable. And I just request, give us some time. Last year, some of these have just been rolled over for year to year. Sue Ellen was a big help in gathering these from the departments, because when you ask the department heads for something, you have to ask a couple of times. So anyways, what I tried to do is put everything in order. I have sheets for Karen to sign.
Yep.
So we can go through those later. But essentially, all right, so starting with the senior center.
So when you said in order, you're talking about how the orders up here and you're by 200, 300, the department numbers.
In order, however they created it here,
Okay, all right.
is in the order I'm gonna talk about them, and is in the order that the sheets are in. So, first one being senior center. So the elderly programs and activities, recommended to continue that. The balance we're gonna roll over, that's gonna be in the ending balance column, which is the one to the left of the encumbrances. That's gonna be 35,119.81. Major revenue funding sources, trip fees, donations and grants, and major uses and expenditures, senior trips, grant-funded programs, and special opportunities. Do I have to ask for approval for each one of these?
No.
Okay. We got the Buck grant, that's also part of the senior center, that's a continue. Balance to roll over, 44,457.99. Revenues are grant funds and participant copays. And then the major uses of that fund, dental clinics, foot care clinics, outreach, and senior programs. The third one down, the SUA, I need to verify with Lauren on that one. She is out and she did not provide it. I think that one's gonna be a closure, but I did not receive
No money.
I did not receive anything on that one. So I wanna make sure.
Do you have recommendations from the relevant department heads for each of these, except the ones you noted?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
what
much everyone said
That's what the forms are.
continued, except one was being closed. There's some that
Okay.
are a little bit questionable. Muirfield Senior Center Fund, that's a continue. It's got $6,805 in it. That was a directed donation, and that's for outreach and support for older adults. The next couple, the next two are questionable. These have been just rolled over from year to year. Technically, we've assigned them to land use. Will doesn't necessarily know what they're for. So we've got a watershed projects one, and for all these, he just recommended for now to continue until we can do more research on them. So the balance is $1,408.02. He's not anticipating any additional revenue. And then he just said if there's any watershed related projects, we could use that for that. The Conservation Commission, we're recommending to continue that. It's It's got a balance of $3,049.10. No additional revenue anticipated. And he just said expenses were Conservation Commission activities. The Tuonic continue. At the end of the year, it had a balance of negative 26,688.
Can we go back to the conservation expense for activities?
So
Is there any,
these two projects, so what happened in the previous years is the fiscal office used to just roll these over. So now I've assigned them to the departments that they belong to. So that's gonna be more of a, we're gonna have to research that. This might be something where we might recommend moving to another fund because we don't have any expenses related to it.
So what it's supposed to be for
they
is,
go out and have activities? And
right, so if they do like an invasive species
Seminar.
seminar or something like that, and they have to pay someone to come in to do that, that's what this is supposed to be for. Well, it's not being done. I know it's not being done, but that's what it's supposed to be for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna, like,
They're forgotten
Okay.
funds.
Some of these are forgotten. Yes, some of these are forgotten. The Tuantic, this is just an in and out to pass through for us. So at the end of June, it was negative, but we did receive our $30,000 payment in July. So now that that has come through. So that's going to be a continue. Aquarium water, that's another one that's questionable. So 18,398.14. No revenues anticipated. There was some trolley bed preserve maintenance and related activities that happened.
that, when we purchased that property, there was a fund designated to
Keep it.
Right,
Right.
for
maintain
maintenance.
it. Is that
That's
what
what
we're
this is.
talking about?
Yep.
Yes.
So we haven't used that either.
No.
Even though that trolley bed was washed out and all that.
I think they did put about 5,000. So
Yeah,
let's
I think we
see.
spent money on it.
So the trolley bed, when that was washed out, that was actually around FEMA.
Right, I was just gonna say.
We
that's why I
spent-
didn't use that.
So on the special revenue, there was like $2,700 spent, and that was on the trolley bed. That was by Graham and Park and Rec. That was this year, but prior to that, there have been no expenses in that account.
So
Once again, it
we're
goes
gonna have
back to
walk that.
who's managing it and people knowing that they're accountable for keeping
Right,
track of those
Yeah,
funds.
yeah.
And we are putting a process in place where this is being reviewed.
Mhm.
So essentially, those funds are just gonna stay there for right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next section is police and public safety. So the SRO salaries is a continue. Balance on that is 88,805.45. So these are the revenues we get in there are Region 14 reimbursements, and the expenses are the school resource officer salaries. Next line, SRO equipment and supplies. That's a continue. Ending balance was 23,102.60.
Excuse me, so I thought the salaries were supposed to even out. We get so much money and we pay it out. That's not true. How can we have 88,000 balance at the end of the year?
That's accumulated over many years. Look at your net
Okay.
difference. You're looking at 72 to start the year and 88 at the end. So
Yeah,
that's how it got there. And there was probably earlier dollars before. Once again, it hasn't been managed, Steve.
okay.
But again, what Steve's saying is, I mean, take a look at the year-to-date revenue is 124, but the year-to-date expense was 108. So
Right, there's a little bit of difference.
there
each
is a
year.
little bit of difference, and that's probably what's been coming up. But there could be some delays in.
And the timing
Yeah,
of
and
it.
timing and everything else. Yeah,
Right.
so, okay.
And I think if you went back, you would find that it's just grown over time.
Little by little bits.
Nickels and dimes.
Bingo.
The SRO equipment and supplies, that's a continue. The balance to roll over is 23,102.86. Funding sources is Region 14 reimbursement. The major expenditures are tasers, uniforms, firearms, and SRO equipment. The next one is a questionable one.
Yes.
So public
So,
safety.
I'm sorry. You said tasers. So the tasers that we are purchasing are not supplied, we're not supplying the SROs with those, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Public safety capital non-recurring. So from my understanding, what used to happen is when the police did private duty, a portion of the private duty used to get directed to the special revenue account, and they used it
Go way
as,
back.
It was supposed to go into the general fund, not to the
Right,
special
that's
revenue.
right.
That's what.
It
the
is
change
now.
was.
right, now it's going to the
It
general
is
fund.
now.
So how did that?
But this was
Whoa.
prior to
Yes.
that, and it never got moved as
So
we
we
had
should
never
asked.
move this over.
Right. Because let's face it, what
Yeah.
is capital non-recurring? That isn't even a definable
Right.
item.
Right.
So,
We're gonna move it.
my comment there is I need more time to research this because I'm not even sure if the balance that we have in
It's
cash
correct.
is,
There.
yes.
It's only on.
This, now that pebble that we threw off is
Yes.
now, is now back on.
So
Stop
this
climbing the mountain.
This was a newly found pebble that has grown,
Well, you snowballs, they start out small,
Yes.
you start rolling them downhill, they get bigger.
every day. Okay, so then there is the DARE deposits. So, and I talked to Robin about this.
Did we miss police expenses?
It's in the same category as the other, where you have more time.
Oh, police, I'll do that. Yeah, the police expenses, police expenses continue, 1,367.03. And they just had police special programs there. But it's just, the whole thing is just a small dollar amount. The DARE, I guess the police department they use like $2,000 a year towards the Region 14 school for like the DARE graduation. And so apparently at some point, Muffy must have told them you can no longer use this DARE account. So they are taking it from the SRO account. They don't have it in their budget,
The police
the
department.
police department. It is not in their operating budget. Muffy told them, note it in your operating budget.
Isn't the SRO, under the,
Equipment.
Yes.
Region 14 budget?
Yes, the SRO equipment and supplies is where the
So
DARE,
is DAR.
But that money comes out of the region.
No, it's what we contribute to the region. So it's, the DARE program is run by the police department, it's not run through
Do they
Region
actually-
14.
Execute the DARE program?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's on,
I believe, Mike, I think it's sixth grade, or no, I think it's the elementary school is where it's run. Fifth grade is where it is.
We got shirts. I think it's wrong.
so last one under public safety, animal control. We're gonna continue that one. Balance is 1,117.38. The funding resources donations, and the major uses is animal medical care, food, and special items. Dana is very good at asking for donations, so we're thankful for this account because it does cover a lot of the vet expenses. So next section, shade tree and sidewalk fund, continue. The balance in that to be rolled over is 25,391.54. Revenue sources donations. The expenses are tree planting, maintenance, and sidewalk initiatives. Then we've got a new account this year, Shade Tree Monument South Green. That's going to be a continue. It's currently got $3,010.45. That's going to be rolled over. Funding is donations and grants, and the expenditures are the South Green renovation projects. Going down to the library, I will be working with a library this year. We're going to split out some of these funds because there's a lot going into the donations. So-
I'm gonna hear that in my house.
But just to make it a little bit more transparent. So the Ingrid Bartland Fund, that's a continue, 7,656.64. That donations are the Connecticut Community Foundation, and the expenditures are the early literature and kindergarten book programs. That's a directed donation. The library programs and enhancements. This holds both directed and non-directed donations. We're going to continue that one. the balance is 99,240.79. The revenues are the donations and the endowment funds. The expenditures are the library programs, the gallery improvements, and the enhancements. What we're gonna do is we're gonna split those up. Most of the money that's in there is from the Fogarty Fund. Then there is the Newell Fund. So there's a donor that donates money, that's really directed towards the gallery. So we're gonna split that up just to make it a little bit more clear what's Fogarty money, what's Newell money, and then what's actual donations. The one called Library Miscellaneous Grants, that name is gonna change. It's gonna be called Library Museum Pass Fund. That's all that's in there right now, which is why I'm calling it that on the rollover sheet. Friends Museum Pass Fund, that's gonna be a continue. It's got $1,700 in it. The revenues are the Friends of the Library donations, and the expenditures are the museum pass memberships. The library expansion gala, that's a continue, $36,303.97.
Stop right there. We had two galas. I think the first one brought in like $45,000. The last one just brought in.
Oh, they get moved, like
That
the money
doesn't come
gets
here.
moved.
That goes to
Yeah.
the CCF. That
CCF.
goes to
CCF.
Connecticut Community Foundation, where they have a couple $100,000.
Okay.
So every year we move that money over
To where?
to CCF.
Which is another can
Well,
of
that's the
worms.
big argument at the library. Yeah.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
You're
I'm glad you guys are dealing with it.
welcome to join us anytime. It's a great conversation.
So that will be continued, $36,303.97. The ins are donations, the outs are building expansion fundraising, and then ultimately they transfer to CCF. So we'll be doing that shortly. The borrow it funds are a continue, the balance to be rolled over, $22,987.85.
What is that?
The revenues that come in are the Connecticut State Library reimbursement. So that is, say for example, for someone that doesn't live in town, like me in New Milford, if I bring my New Milford library card to Woodbury and I borrow a book, they actually get money for that. So where we really benefited from this is when Southbury had an issue
Close.
and it was closed.
That's right.
So a lot of people from Southbury were coming over to Woodbury. So we did see an increase.
So let me ask you this, what are they allowed to spend that money on?
Library materials, programs, buildings, and educational needs.
Okay, so. All right, so they
That's
have
the question.
$23,000.
Come on, you know what
That's
the
the
question is.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
they have
question.
$23,000 in programs.
Yep.
Can we offset that in our budget?
Yes.
That's what we're gonna aim for
That's part of our departmental reviews. We have asked the library director to look at this and come back with a plan of how they're gonna spend it. This money needs to be spent by March of next year, I believe, right? March 2027, I believe she said. So we need to have a plan as to
So
what,
when we have special revenue accounts, they are designated for specific purposes, correct?
Yes, but some of their specific purposes are very general,
Vague.
as you just heard, what can be used for the borrow it money. Very much to your point, the concept behind it is instead of putting additional dollars into the town budget to fund the library, if you know that you're gonna get X number of dollars from all of these other special revenues, that should be offsetting or removing some
My
of
other
the
question,
So we
department
can
budget.
actually save $23,000 on the library budget this year,
We should.
correct?
we,
But it's probably not something that's gonna continue to reoccur because
If you
some,
have to-
No,
if you have to
Not to
spend-
that
no, but
amount.
If you have to spend it by March, it should be applied to the library's budget.
that's right. And we have asked, what are you actually going to utilize this money for?
It's not for, I found it extras, I want to do a special event.
Yes.
And this is where I think we got in trouble, but where they got themselves in trouble last year, where they're designated the bathrooms that's where it was coming from, was the borrow it money, when we were trying to say, no, that's really a capital project. That should have showed up on the capital file, not done out of the borrow it. Because we need to decide as a town, what
Does
are,
that project need to be
right,
done?
is that project needing to be done, correct?
What is borrow it, what would they use that to offset it? Like, what would the library allowed to use it
Go
for?
through these, and see what's the best.
Yeah, just library materials, programs, buildings, and educational needs. So it's very,
That's why she.
Buildings?
Yes.
It's a pretty broad
So,
Yeah,
so in
so-
other words, so if they want to
Does she
replace
need
the
to
rugs,
Does she need to carpet the stairs and
yes,
fix the door?
plexiglass.
right, yes, yes. And that's why we have asked, what are the plans for this?
yes.
Okay.
And that was a relatively recent ask as
Right.
As last
We-
week, maybe, I think that was,
Oh, where-
As we got
That's
together-
great,
Where
though.
does this money physically sit? It can't-
Physically, it's in special revenue.
yeah,
Oh,
special revenue.
It's not in the
fund.
general fund.
So we did
Bank-
get
it's in the
together.
bank somewhere, so.
It's in
right?
the
Yes,
bank account.
New
Not-
Town
not
Savings Bank.
safe over here.
No, it's a bank.
These aren't all the
So
separate
they're-
accounts.
Right,
It's
right.
one account, they're all line
One
items.
account.
This is one bank account called
Does it earn
special
anything?
revenue.
Yeah, it
Just
gets
like all
the
the other
stiff rate.
funds.
Just like Dawn.
But we did get together with Benita and Susan, and we went over all this together.
And here's what I don't understand. If they decide they need to do something, it doesn't matter whether it's necessary or not, they just do it. These special revenue funds.
I can't really get
Well,
the
that's
No.
line.
why we're
Okay.
asking
No.
for, yeah,
Right,
no,
Yeah,
that's
but they used to
changed.
do that.
used to.
It has
Past
to be presented to the Board of Finance going forward, right? Did we
No.
talk about that?
No, it goes to the, it goes to the selectmen.
Select-
it goes to the Board of Selectmen,
All right.
yes, it goes to the Board of Selectmen.
And they come
Goes to
us.
somebody.
We-
It goes
we
to
don't have-
somebody,
We don't want
yes.
to get involved in that, Mike.
I don't see it here, but I think that the trustees also have funds for the
Well,
library,
that's
do they
another
not?
can.
That, so we met with Benita on
It's
this,
a borrow
right?
it,
And
right.
this borrow it is considered operational. All right, the Board of Trustees is, you know, if you look at what the charter says, they
Sorry,
are
I
managing.
meant the town trustees, not the
Oh.
board of trustees of the
Okay.
library.
All right,
So there's a separate fund. I don't
yes,
know
they
what's in
have,
there.
yes, there is.
And they have money for, some of it's for school, some of it's for library, some of it's for other miscellaneous things, I think.
Have the trustees picked up their mail yet?
That is
Sounds
not
like
part of
something's in
public
there.
hearing.
Do you
That's
send them a
not-
notice or something?
I mean, should it be part of the special revenues? I mean, in this list of
They
things?
manage,
Yeah, no, it's not even.
trustees manage, you know, because you were there before, the trustees
Right.
manage it on their own.
Right.
And there should be a separate report coming from the trustees.
Okay.
But
But they have to meet.
this
and
is,
take
but it's not
action.
what Marie's covering right
Right.
now.
Next, public libraries incentives grants, that's gonna be continued, $1,035.58. The revenues are the Connecticut State Library Grant, and the expenditures are library programs, books, and supplies. Going to Park and Rec, that was page 2. The one person that came back and said closeout, it's a $0 balance, the community theater, it's a closeout. No revenues or expenditures identified. The next one, activities for Park and Rec, is to continue, $27,344.38 to be rolled over. The revenues are event revenues and sponsorships. The expenses are community events and recreation programs.
Okay. So that should be applied to the budget.
Right?
Mhm, Same way.
Okay.
It's not your,
Said it needs some work.
Okay.
Another pebble.
Another couple.
hey, it's, you know.
Yep.
It's somebody's salary right there if you add the two together.
Sounds of Summer is gonna be a continue, balance to roll over, 7,308.12. The inns are sponsorships, a lot of it's Earth Day. And then that's how they fund the summer concert series, which they had the last concert series today. Newtown Savings Bank is a huge contributor of this, so we thank them very much for that.
And Long Meadow.
And Long Meadow, yep. So the next one, wow.
Yeah.
What's on Woodbury? What's up Woodbury? It was a community programming. It was between the library, the senior center, and Parks and Rec. It's got a balance of $932.96 that for now Graham is recommending to roll over. I guess when I talked to Susan, Susan said there used to be a street fair where the roads were closed, and that's what that was used for. Graham's thinking maybe they can come up with something together that they could use that money for.
So we're keeping it.
Keeping it, yep. Three Rivers fundraiser, also under Parks and Rec, continue. It's got a whopping balance of $269.
What is that?
Old item.
So why are we keeping $932 and $269? I mean, what's the sense?
Put it towards the barn repair.
It's an in-process report. It isn't to say that she isn't going to come back
Yeah.
and say that she's going to close it.
Yeah, I think what you need to do is look at if this was a directed, right? So
Right.
that may be one of our problems, is some of these things may be a directed donation, and so we're gonna have some issues trying to move
We're
those,
looking
but we
into
need to look
Yes,
further. into
we're
that.
looking into both of those.
All right, last grouping. Mine and Karen's favorite item, America 250. We're gonna continue that for now. It's got a balance of $1,920.05. The ins of that were the merchandise sales. The outs of that were just events, America 250. I believe if there was gonna be an overrun on the fireworks, that's gonna be charged there. My anticipation is that this would end at the end of the year, to end the pain of the inventory and
Yes.
the cash that
Can
keeps showing
it
up.
offset the cost of the fireworks?
Oh, can assist in offsetting it. $1,900 doesn't come close to what the fire.
Oh, I know, but yeah, go towards it.
I think we need to look at, I think there were some other programs that were still planned through the end of the year, so that may be something
Yeah.
we can take a look at
That's why we'll get rid of
at
it.
year end, calendar year end, by the
Right.
way, not fiscal year end.
And then the last three are basically the,
Did we, I'm
Accounts you
sorry.
were talking about earlier, Mike.
yes, the
Connecticut Community
CCF. So
Foundation.
the investment interest that's coming in on the accounts, 30,645.67, in interest earnings. This does have a little bit of the old Newtown Savings Bank interest in it. Again, not at a point right now where I can say I can split them out and move them to the general fund, for the Newtown Savings Bank. But that's a work in progress. And there, the last two I lumped together too. The library CCF investment activity. So there's three in there. There's the CCF unrealized gains and losses is $67,219. Other revenues, which is the first time we've seen that, is this year $14,720, and then the investment fees $10,325.
Right?
And those are all related to the 4 accounts that are at Connecticut Community Foundation. Yes. So that is a major work in process in this state.
I'm gonna put checking on that next to this one.
But the report balance is. To the
So
account,
what?
that it adds up correctly.
No comment.
Like many other things, it's just been put on the
It's
shelf.
good, actually. You can't say, it's positive that all this is coming out
Right.
and being directed or being corrected.
Managed.
And it's,
Yeah.
so you're doing a good job.
There you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
At this point in time, I'd entertain a motion to accept the special revenue fund reporting as submitted.
So move.
Okay, Mike first, second Steve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And I know we've had a great time tonight. But with that, I
The
will,
fire truck was the highlight.
it was,
The
it was all
video.
downhill from there.
The
But
video.
we'll adjourn at 9:35.
Did you ever deal with the special item that you added to the agenda?
I'm on vacation.